Welcome back to ATP Health Hackers podcast. Today's going to be a little bit different. As you all know, this is my mom, also co-host. But today we're going to be diving a little bit deeper into Tina.
Okay.
And then, as you know, I'm Alexis.
And I'm Tina.
So, Mom, are you ready to be in the hot seat today?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Let's see what you got.
And, by the way, she does not know any of these questions. She said she wanted a complete, spontaneous response. And then also, it's kind of funny because we kind of she teased at herself, but I'm the one that's going to have notes today. So,
there we go.
All right, we're going to go into like a little bit of early inspiration in your career path.
You got it.
When kind of did you first know that health and fitness would be such a big part of your life?
Okay. This is kind of twofold because I really always loved exercise. But when I was around 12 years old, my grandpa took me to a Tiano and Batante reunion in West Virginia with my Uncle Billy. And we drove across America, which was really fun and a once-in-a-lifetime experience. But when we got to the reunion, now I'm already I was a total tomboy growing up, but now I'm starting to like boys. I'm starting to recognize your body's changing. And I get there and there's like 3,000 people and 90% of them are 400 pounds. And, I was like, wow. And I'm from California. They're all from Michigan, Detroit, Dearborn, Pennsylvania, and also West Virginia. So there was they came from all over and we met there. And I was just amazed. My Uncle Gabby, my Poppy's brother, one of his brothers, had even boxers that said Fat Pat. And I was a little horrified, that wow, this is my family. And I met my cousin Paul. I think that was the first time I ever met my cousin Paul. He was Mr. Kalamazoo, and
that was cousin Paulie.
Cousin Paulie, and I had an instant crush on him because it was like, whoa! Not only was he good looking, but he was like fit as just perfect. He was perfect. He wasn't too big. He wasn't too skinny. And then his dad was the only Batante, sorry, Poppy, that was like into some kind of fitness as well. He was a boxer. He jogged. He had I think he was around 70 when I met him, and he had the most gorgeous legs. But I can say I left that reunion thinking I don't want this to be me. So that's kind of what inspired me. Does that answer the question good?
It does.
Okay.
I think I obviously never experienced going to there, but if a little homework assignment for any listener, if you've ever seen the movie Fatso, yes. I think that's how you would kind of describe it, right? Everything's centered around
food.
Eating.
Yes, food. It was all about food.
Manda.
Who made the best meatballs? How big they were. Every family in the Batante family. My Poppy had 14 brothers and sisters, and they all claimed to make the best meatball. And so, just saying, I had to try them all.
So I guess that was kind of like your aha moment that
yes,
you definitely saw a future that you didn't want to.
Exactly.
Kind of.
Yes.
Do you think in seeing that, I think from what you've kind of told me, did it kind of spiral you into?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not where you're going yet.
Okay.
When I was 13, I started hanging out with, my parents belonged to a charismatic, Catholic charismatic movement at the mission, San Gabriel Mission. And they would go on Friday nights to Friday night Bible study worship, and then all the kids would kind of hang out. And so Frankie was the caster's son, and my dad let me hang out with him. I don't know why. Anyway, we got in a lot of trouble. But he loved to he was a bodybuilder guy, total bodybuilder guy. And we would go to wall bangers, and that's when I first found out I was strong because everyone made a big deal about wow, your legs are so strong. And so of course I already liked lifting weights at age 13, and we would go to wall bangers. And then there was a gym down the street from me on San Gabriel Boulevard. I can't think of the name, but it'll come to me because it was like a big time bodybuilder gym. Even my Uncle Billy and anybody who lifted weights or was part of it would go to this gym, and I'll think of the name. But I loved it from like that then on.
Okay, so then kind of take it further. What's kind of the steps from there until now?
Okay, so then I loved working out. My poppies call me frog legs because we would actually like really train legs. Probably like I've never done that before, like I do now. I mean, I don't do that now. And then when I got to high school, there was a group of us girls that I don't know if you're familiar with or if this is way aging me, the Scarsdale diet. And so that's when I can say like my obsession with exercise, fitness, and dietetics kind of took a turn, not in a good direction. There was about six of us girls, and we would pay one of the mothers. I don't want to use the names in case they don't want to, be known for this. And we would pay a mother, and she would make the lunch for us every day. One of the stipulations on the Scarsdale diet was that you would do 3 weeks on and 3 weeks off, and you lost a ton of weight because now, granted, I was never my biggest weight was probably what I weigh now. I was always around 123, and we wanted to get because we were in cheerleading little skirts and stuff, and we wanted those skinny little legs and all that. And I think my lowest weight I got during that time was about 90 pounds. Anyway, some of the girls took it to a whole nother level, but we would meet for lunch, and Monday would be like all cheese, and Tuesday would be all fruit, or I'm getting the days wrong, but you get the idea of the diet. It was very unbalanced, but you did get a significant weight loss. By the way, the Scarsdale diet wife killed the husband because it made her kind of crazy. So that started kind of like an unhealthy obsession with diet and exercise. And my senior year, I don't want to talk about the girls because it all kind of went into a very dark area. But my biology teacher made me get on the scale and weigh. And she knew what was going on. She realized like we were counting calories in gum. Some of the girls took it to an anorexia level, and I tried. I couldn't throw up for the life of me. I just couldn't do it. And one of my neighbors came over one day to say hello to me, and she was shocked because I was hovered over my toilet trying to make myself throw up, and I just couldn't. It just didn't work. So I would do like hide the food in a napkin. I did a lot of other things. So I can't say I was full blown anorexia or bulimia, but like even on our senior trip, four of us girls, two of us met like 30 other girls in the bathroom because they were all trying to throw up from this one luau. And it was like a thing. And thank goodness we didn't have the internet because I think some of those girls would have been very injured. I had parents that were really on it. And so, like, if they saw me not eat dinner, and we always had family dinner, um, even my mom, like when I was in college, skipping forward after senior year, um, if I didn't come to the table, I could have had like an organic chemistry exam, and my mom would be like, "Tina, it's dinner," and I'd be like, "I'm studying for organic chemistry." I wasn't allowed to go and live at college. I had to stay at home, and so I'm like, I'm in the middle of organic chemistry, mother, and they'd make me still come. So like I think that's probably what kept me from not going to the real dark side of it. Kind of snapped out of it, but that is how I picked my career. I picked my career and to become a nutritionist. As a matter of fact, I was very disappointed when I first went to Cal Poly. I know I'm skipping all over the place, but this is kind of how I picked my career. Was having four or five girlfriends in anorexia bulimia world, and then in college, in high school, the my one professor, when she made me weigh, was going to tell my parents. And that would have been like where my parents would have just not have been able to get over that.
Lockdown.
So yeah, I mean, it was bad enough. I had very strict parents. So in saying that, that kind of made me realize like I have to stop this. And around my senior year, I no longer had, I always wanted to be thin. I'm not going to lie, but I lost that urge, even though the kids will laugh because when we go to the movies, I still spit out my popcorn.
Yes.
And I still have habits that have followed me all along. Is that going too much into the?
No, she doesn't spit out all her food, so there's progress.
Yes. I mean, it's something that
not
like
to make light of something serious, but
no, like that's something like when you have that, and like what I was saying earlier was I picked my college career in nutrition to be a dietitian, and you cover that about 6 hours in the entire 4 years, which it took me 5 years to graduate, to be honest. Sorry. and you don't even really cover it because it ends up it's more psychological than it is a nutrition thing, which is sad because I think that they should know more about it as a dietitian and as a nutritionist, and they just automatically associate it to A type personality and wanting to have some form of control. And to be real honest, I don't think that was me. It was all about being skinny in a cheerleading skirt. I mean, I honestly believe that I had a very voluptuous body, and I'm short. So I had boobs and a butt very early.
Yeah, Kardashians weren't in back then. So.
I wasn't in. The straight up and down style was in, and I wanted those skinny little legs. And so, like, I would walk 4 or 5 miles a day, go to wall bangers, go to the gym that I can't think of the name, which I will. And it became more about fitness and not so much about food.
You kind of touched base a little bit on your actual education. Is there something else that you've kind of learned, I guess, in your career of health and fitness that you wish you kind of had to, it was like hard to unlearn, or did you kind of take everything as a grain of salt?
So when I went to Cal Poly, science was very difficult for me, and some of the courses were really hard. As a matter of fact, a lot of people didn't think, because I was the first one in my family to go to college. Um, I don't think people really thought I was going to do it. And I struggled through it. And I was never the straight A student like my daughter, which when I interview her, we'll get into that. I was like, just let's get by and have fun. And I was happy with a C. And even in my major, everyone got awards for education and academics and acknowledgments of that. Mine was they called me California Sunshine because I had the best tan and the best clothes. So that was my award, and I think they made it up because they feel sorry for me. But you know what I mean? I was like, "This, how could I have fun and go to college and be at Cal Poly and still live at home?" And honestly, everything that I learned, 5 years later, it's almost irrelevant. Other than, the Krebs cycle is always the Krebs cycle. So the nutrition, the science behind it, that doesn't change. What changes is what happens when the food goes into the body. When I was in college, it was all about the food pyramid. Well, we know now that the food pyramid is basically upside down and probably what caused a lot of illness and disease to this day. And I'm happy to be part of that with my clients, and always knowing that, like, there's always something to learn. So, like, you can have a degree, it really doesn't mean anything if you're not willing to stay current and updated in the current information, and it will change. It will constantly change. Just like when keto, my one of the teams that I worked on, the it was called True Fitness in the beginning, and then they changed it to Cats with Jim Liston. I was the dietitian or nutritionist for the Los Angeles Galaxy. They were really into protein, and my major was not really into protein. It was really into, first of all, balanced meals, and it was the kind of 4-2-4-4 movement, 4 servings of breads and cereals, 4 servings of fruits and vegetables, and 2 servings of protein and fat, something like that. Anyway, in the food pyramid. And so, like, I was all about carbohydrates, and Jim and all them used to carry these protein bars around. I used to get so upset. And when I would have the Galaxy over to my home to teach some of the younger kids to eat, it was more about carbs. And then I would always put in protein because Jim would give me the formula he wanted me to follow. But we would have this constant battle of who was right and who was wrong. And he was a fitness guy, and his master's and major and all that stuff was from Massachusetts. He was really good at what he was the best at what he knew. And so we would battle, but we always compromised, and we always came up with the greatest solution for the team. And so I was always learning, even to this day, always learning.
What's the biggest myth you wish would disappear in the health and fitness industry?
Let's see. Okay. One, cholesterol. The fact that your cholesterol, I think, what's the number now? 200?
Varies. I think LDL is anything less than 100.
No, what's the actual number when they say your cholesterol number is this? Like, if it's
total, shoot,
I think it's like 200 is too high. But when I was in college, it was 300. And now we know that the brain is made up of cholesterol, and you need to have some. And what they always forget to tell you, because I have some girlfriends that your body automatically makes cholesterol. So I think there's too much focus on that number and the fallacy of only having like 2 or 3 eggs a day. I don't think I believe that anymore. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I would say
Okay.
that.
Were you
I
thinking
would.
of any other myth that we talk about sometimes?
Uh, well, I would kind of piggyback to this question. Pet peeves about health industry, how it's portrayed. Um, I think even simple mathematics, even just from a nurse practitioner standpoint, I think even with every trend, every fad, and I think you would agree, the most simple calories in equal calories out. I
Yeah,
think
yeah. I mean,
really
it
when it
matters
comes,
what calories you put
of
in.
course,
Yeah, like
because
so.
you can even eat what 900 calories of Snickers bar every day. You'll lose weight, but your insides
Yeah, you'll
won't be the
pay
best.
later.
Yes.
So like my biggest, what I try to teach all my clients is start off with one ingredient foods, and I
Yep.
love to live by that. Even her and I,
Yes.
chicken, meat, and orange, and make sure that your meat is hormone free, antibiotic free, which is very hard to get, but that's probably one of the most important things. And one thing I wish that people were more aware of is that really look at the ingredients in your food, because in America, this is something that sent me crazy over the last probably 10 years. In America, we make ketchup. I don't even like ketchup, but let's just use that as a topic. We make ketchup in the United States without high fructose corn syrup to ship to the UK, because in the UK it's against the law, and other countries, I think 32 other countries, it's outlawed because high fructose corn syrup is not recognized in the body as an ingredient. So automatically anything that you consume with that particular ingredient gets stored as fat, and it's not a good fat. So I just get upset because I don't like ketchup, but I know a lot of family members that do, and the ketchup has high fructose corn syrup on it. So like even if you're having a one ingredient food and you put ketchup on it, which a lot of kids have french fries and ketchup, and some people dip their meat in it. I mean, it's just poison to your body. So I'm really happy with the Maha movement. I know a lot of people aren't for other reasons, but one of the reasons why I'm very excited about it is one, the food dyes, the colors. We don't need to have colorful food. Like her and I talk about this all the time. When we take Robitussin, do I really care what color it is?
Yes.
I don't care that it's red. I just want it to work. And so when you take Robitussin, it's to clear your lungs up. I don't need to poison myself with red dye number 3, 40, and what other colors are in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Clear is fine.
Sure.
So like if they can get rid of all that and we can clean up that, we can actually clean up a lot of what's going on just in additives and food dyes and just learning more about those. What light went off?
I don't know, but like it did something changed.
That was weird. Okay. Anyway,
Do you think any trends right now are more harmful than good in the industry?
I do think consuming high amounts of protein. Now, I'm not going to talk about the carnivore diet because I don't know enough to speak about it, and I have a friend who's on it right now. Um, I know that if you have overworked kidney and liver, that probably isn't something good for you to do, and I would highly suggest labs. So I don't. When someone asks me about it, I honestly don't know enough about it. I know that people uh, uh, really praise it the way they feel. I don't think it's for a lifetime, and they bring up cavemen, but I think cavemen only lived to like 30 or 40, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. So I think we've come a long way. I think there should be a balance. I know your body needs protein. If you're active, you need a little bit more protein. So I think that's one of the areas. But again, I always say, everybody is different. And like when we do the epigenetics test, we can find out for that. Like
Yes.
foods that she's supposed to avoid are completely different than foods I'm supposed to avoid. So really, it's like learning your own body, what works good in your body, is totally different than what works in her body. So everybody is different. Finding that unique blend that works for you, where you're including a variety of foods, a variety of vitamins, whatever your body is lacking, is really what I think is most important. And so I would say avoid all trends. I think the trends are what get people in trouble.
Yes. I think also, even just from a medical standpoint, like as my mom touched base, that everyone is different. So when something comes across on TikTok, like the
Yes.
carnivore diet or keto, like that is working for that person that is speaking about it. So that doesn't mean like
You should do it.
You should do it. You should do your own research because I think we mentioned it at some point that when we did keto, my stepdad lost
100 pounds.
70, yeah,
He
70,
lost
100
100
pounds.
pounds.
And we ended up gaining like
Her and
5
I
to 10.
gained weight. Yeah.
Of course, we did dirty keto. We had like the bacon and like whatever. But still, we didn't do dirty keto the whole time. But still,
Yeah.
like we gained weight. That didn't work for.
Yeah, I like the idea of, oh, you can have as much as this as you want, which really that isn't it. Like she
Yes.
said, we have to get back to calories in and calories out. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with a lot of things we're saying.
Yes.
But I'm more a practical person. And I believe in like what you can do practically. Like if you're here or you're in another country, what's going to work wherever you're at. And that's kind of like, as I've aged to age 60, I've done all the trends. I've actually written trends for people. I've had the ideal protein diet here, where it was, again, 900 calories. Predominantly, most of the ingredient was soy. So of course, um, so of course, you're going to lose weight. You know what I mean? So you have to keep all that in mind when you start a program. There was something else, another trend I was going to talk about. It'll come to my mind.
Carnivore, creatine.
We covered creatine with our podcast, I think, episode number 7.
Yes.
That's okay. Next question.
I was going to say something else on that. To be honest, I think the one, it's not really a diet, but a lifestyle. I think that's tried and true, to be honest, is the Mediterranean diet.
Yeah, the Mediterranean diet is what
Lifestyle.
we use.
I think
to this
there's
day.
Nothing really wrong with it. It's been around for centuries.
I know. I want to say something because this is what I was going to say. This was super important. You know, in my gym, I see this a lot. Is everyone will talk about what they're doing, and then you'll have that one person that does a little bit of the keto. They'll take a little bit of what everyone's doing, and not really doing it all. You can't do one of everything. Like you'll do a little bit of the keto, and you'll do a little bit of the what's the one with the nuts and all that. What's that called? I forget. I can't think of the name.
Ooh.
It escapes me. Paleo, and a little bit of Weight Watchers and a little bit of this. And you can't do that. You need to pick a lane, find out if that's what works best for you. Because some people paleo because of a health issue, that's amazing for them. So I would never tell someone don't do that. It depends on what their disorder is, what their hormones are lacking, what their hormones need. So I say always start off with a blood panel because you'll know what you're lacking. That will kind of indicate where you need to go. And so like you can't just guess. It's not a guessing game. We have so many tools that can help you to get there and get the perfect prescription for you that's going to be excellent, that gets you into the most perfect order of things, the accurate arrangement of things.
Yeah.
One thing that you didn't touch on is how far back my background goes. You're going to ask any of those questions, like all the different things that I've done and all the different areas that I worked in, because I always think that's kind of interesting.
Kind of alluding to that. We still have plenty of time.
Okay.
I was trying to ask your journey from where you started to where you are now.
But, so like in my...
But before we get there, because I will lose track of it, I think unpopular, controversial opinion, I would say, I don't know. I don't think the vegan diet's very good, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm not really into that either.
I think even
it works for some people, though.
Yes, if they have those issues.
Yeah, there are some people that their body doesn't tolerate protein, and so they have to find other ways to get it and break it down.
Yes, but the people that are truly vegan are very, very sick and toxic on the inside. So.
Yeah, especially when we do the blood work, we see it.
Yeah, I think I would definitely take a look into exploring that. But okay. That was a little side tangent, but
yeah.
All right.
And that's a personal feeling, yes.
Yeah. Journey through the time.
Okay.
See it.
So from Cal Poly, while I was at Cal Poly, they didn't have this particular career in mind. They were really into, you had to become a dietitian and go that route. And I wanted to get into sports nutrition. So I would contact the Centinela Hospital. They were like really big. Dr. Kerlin Job was like, had all the amazing athletes there. And so I would call the head of dietetics and speak with her on a daily basis, starting my sophomore year in college. And they put together a program for me so I can become, it wasn't even a career in those days, a sports nutritionist. And they actually, at the National Athletic Health Institute, put together where I had to design a deli, and I got to work with all the athletes. I was dating Allie's dad in college, and he would come down and he goes, "You just served James Worthy a sandwich." I'm like, "Who?" Because like my brothers watch sports. I didn't really watch sports as much as they did, but we had it was the Aztecs. It wasn't the Galaxy at that time. PGA, LPGA, Rams. We didn't have Raiders yet. Um, Hockey players. They were in and out of there, and it was very exciting to me. Lakers, and the first big conference I had to give was to the Lakers and talk to them about a low cholesterol diet when they were on the go. We have so many things available now, but in the olden days, in the 80s and the 90s, when the teams would travel and say they'd go to Texas, there was no really healthy food for them. Hotels didn't have healthy food. So like a lot of times in those days, the Lakers had this exuberant amount of cholesterol and other things where back then we didn't want that to be so high. Now I probably would talk to them a little bit differently. But in that time, that was my goal. That was my job, was to talk to them. And trust me, I'm not a public speaker. This right here is a big deal for Alexis and I. And I used to panic. But can you imagine walking in as a 22-year-old to like a house full of the Lakers, and I'd have to give that talk? And then what made me kind of get out of that was I'd come back, and on my car would be like roses and hotel keys, and I'd be like, "Oh my God, what is this?" And my dad would get really mad. So I didn't really understand all that part of it, and I was really young looking, even for my age. And so that morphed into, I went and worked at Paramount Studios. I worked with Dan Isaacson, and I wrote my very first diet. The very first star I worked with was Danny DeVito and Billy Crystal for the movie Throw Mama from the Train. And just coming out and I was starstruck because we were moviegoers. Even now, Alexis and I and my mom still go to the movies. Yeah. Back in the day, we were moviegoers, and so that was a really big deal. And just to see that, like walking out, and it'd be nothing to see Eddie Murphy coming out of the commissary, and so I was very starstruck, but it was very fun. And my career bounces around like that all over. I was the Los Angeles Galaxy nutritionist, which I got to take my kids. My kids had run of the mill. Sometimes I'd walk through the tunnel and they'd yell out my kids' names. It was pretty cute.
Got to be in the locker room.
Yeah, we got to be in the locker room, and so it was a really fun time, and I really, really enjoyed my career. I would do it all over again, and it's led me to now here with Alexis. I get to partner up with my daughter, who's a nurse practitioner, and we're combining our forces and bringing it for good to the people. And so I feel like I would choose my career all over again. I opened my gym in 1998. I love what I've built here. This community is fantastic to me. People are starting to come in, so as you see me waving. I love spinning. I love everything about all my journey. There's so much more we can get into, but I want to bore you.
It's never boring. What would be one piece of advice that you would give someone kind of just starting out on the wellness journey?
Definitely my thing I tell everybody is the one ingredient foods. Okay. Because no matter where you're at in the world, you can always get a tomato, you can get an orange, you can have a piece of meat.
And I think that's something easy too that you can start with.
Yes.
And I guess kind of to wrap it up, I know you kind of saw yourself as this career for a very long time. What career do you think you would end up in or want to be in if you didn't pursue this path?
I'd want to be a lawyer.
Ooh. Okay. Mm-hmm. I can definitely see that.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
But I'd still always be involved in health. I'd always be involved in some kind of sports, nutrition. I like to exercise every single day. Attorney. I could have done that, yeah. I wasn't a good student, I was more into fun. But I wish the adult me had that discipline I have now for education. I was not definitely education driven. I can say that.
Well, you did the best of what you had or could do.
Yes.
So, well, thank you for listening.
Thank you so much.
If you enjoyed that, if you have any follow-up questions for Miss Tina,
please feel free to email us at
oh yeah, we got new emails. I hate when you do this because it takes me a little minute to think because I have like 10 emails. So you can email us at Alexis at atphealthhackers.com or now even Tina at atphealthhackers.com.
And we'll answer any questions, even if they're nutrition, exercise related. If I don't have an answer, I will definitely do the research for you and respond to you to the email. And if you want it to be a topic on here with us, feel free to join us.
Yes. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share,
Follow,
and then,
comment.
I think there is a little sneaky intuition that I might be next on the block. So
yes, if you have some questions for Alexis, please feel free to email me so I can ask her the questions that you'd like to hear the answers to.
So thank you for tuning in.
Thank you, and God bless you, and have a wonderful day. Time to
Until
spin.
next time. Bye.